standing in the ruins of a 4th century synagogue that was built on the site of the synagogue in Capernaum where Jesus himself taught. After the multiplication of the loaves and fishes, after the walking across the sea, he came here. The people followed him, and he said, "Don't seek for bread that perishes, but seek for the food that lasts unto eternal life." And then he said, "I myself am the living bread come down from heaven. My flesh is food for the life of the world." Well, it would be hard to imagine anything that was more theologically problematic, and if I can be blunt, more disgusting for a 1st century Jew than those words. Throughout the Old Testament, there are prohibitions against the eating of an animal's flesh with blood. Here's a human being saying, "I want you to eat my body and drink my blood." When they protest, as they did, Jesus had every opportunity to render his language more spiritual, more metaphorical, to say, well, what I mean is something very symbolic. He didn't. He said, unless you eat the flesh of the Son of Man and drink his blood, you have no life in you. And the words in Greek are interesting. He used the word trogein, not phagain. Phagain's the usual word for human beings eating. Trogein was the way an animal would eat, like gnawing. Unless you gnaw on the flesh of the Son of Man and drink his blood. In other words, when they object to the physical realism of it, he intensifies it.
I am telling you the truth. If you do not eat the flesh of the Son of Man and drink his blood, you will not have life in yourselves. Those who eat my flesh and drink my blood have eternal life, and I will raise them to life on the last day. For my flesh is the real food, my blood is the real drink. Those who eat my flesh and drink my blood live in me, and I live in them. The living Father sent me, and because of him I live also. In the same way, whoever eats me will live because of me. This, then, is the bread that came down from heaven. It is not like the bread that your ancestors ate but then later died. Those who eat this bread will live forever.
Jesus said this as he taught in the synagogue in Capernaum.
This is my body, which is given for you. This do in remembrance of me. This cup is the New Testament in my blood, which is shed for you. This do in remembrance of me.